a little, like a rubber tip. Of course, regular rubber won't hold up the gas, but it's a little rubber tip on here that actually works better than just metal to metal. So you have rubber sealing against the little hole on the inside there. So I've got that installed. I have one little issue that's of concern to me, is that the new seat had longer threads on it, and it seems to work okay, but it was a little tight when I started tightening it all the way down. But I looked to see, and it obviously would not protrude in and obstruct the fuel flow, so I think we're okay there. So how do we adjust the height on it? I got, with this kit, as with aftermarket kits, you are very subject to get the wrong instructions, which is the case with this kit. It came with instructions sheet that says it's for an M tractor instead of a Cub tractor. Now, it gave me a float level adjustment that's obviously wrong. It was like 1 5/16. So I cut the 1 5/16 out here and tried it, and obviously it was way wrong. If you can see here, I'm over 1/8 of an inch high, almost 1/4 of an inch high. So I went back to the internet. As you can see, this is service instructions for repair of International Harbor's M through MV and 6 series, 1 1/4 and 1 3/8 updraft carburetors. Well, that's the wrong service instructions, because this carburetor is nowhere near that size. The M tractor was a large tractor, and this is a Cub that puts out about 12 or 14 horsepower. It's I think the venturi size in this one is about 3/4 of an inch, as you'll see right here. So you go to the internet and go to farmallcub.com, I think is the name of the website. Do a search for float adjustment, and some very knowledgeable people told me that the adjustment should be, well, they didn't tell me, but they had posted different things. Should be 1 1.4 inches to 1.6 inches. 1.6 inches would be fully down, and 1.4 inches would be fully up. So the down position is not as critical as the closed position. And so what is 1.4 inches? Okay, you can't hardly convert that. So we do know that 1 3/8 of an inch is 1.375 inches, and 1 5/8 inches, 1.625 inches. So that is so close that you could not you could not visually see the difference. Okay, 1.4 is what the very knowledgeable poster called for, and I go 1 3/8, which is 1.35. So I go 1 3/8 inch. This is what I cut out on my little handy dandy homemade tester. Let me get over here so you can see 1.4 inches. That's what I'll adjust my float level to. Now, I will confess that I had bent my float a little bit, trying to, in desperation, trying to get it to quit flooding earlier in my several times I've had this carburetor off, before I actually went and bought a carburetor kit. So if I can show you here how we'll check this. We just build a little gauge and we check across the carburetor float. This little gauge is about cut out of cardboard stock, about 1 inch wide, 1.4 inches tall. I set it right across the float, and it should touch the the base, the flat part of the carburetor, the gasket surface, and it doesn't. It looks to me like I'm about a 1/16 off. So the only adjustment on these is to actually bend the float adjustment right here. You put some pressure on here. To do that, I'll take the float out and put a I'll show you, I've got to cut off the camera for a minute. Put a little piece in here, take the needle out. You don't want to put any pressure on the needle. So we'll take that out, put a little piece in to bend against, and push this down firmly, but try not to break anything, and then we'll remeasure. Okay, I have the float off the carburetor now. I will reinstall the float without the needle in it, and then we'll use one of these extra float pins to put right in here to bend down and put pressure on. So I put the float on without the needle in, put the original pin back in. Now there could be a better way to do this. I've not heard of one or developed one.